So good late morning to you, Michael. Good to see you for our videotaping here of our topic. Today is we're going to kind of look over a rent versus own scenario and just show why owning has such powerful value for wealth building.
Very excited about the topic. Good morning, everyone. Michael Kurchanik, Macintosh Realtors, here to serve you, and Laura here to serve you also.
Yes, excellent. Because I forgot to introduce myself. Laura Fournier, Nations Lending. You're just going to have to forgive me about a day and a half of computers driving me crazy. So hopefully there's a few brain cells left to talk about a topic. But I got this. No worries. I got this. So I'm going to do a little screen share. And computer, bless you, you're going to work fine, at least for the next half hour. So here we go. All right, so I have a PowerPoint, but we're not going to look at the whole thing because it was a long home buyer seminar that I did on Sunday. So I got some statistics about rents, and of course, rents went way, way up. Especially you can see in from February of 2021, and they kind of peaked in the fall, October or September, October of 2022, just having really escalated there. So folks that went under lease in this time frame are really in some of the highest rents that we've seen in years. And it was the largest escalation of rents in, I guess, since they've been tracking rental. So it has come back a little bit, but this represents about a 1.4% decrease. But if you're already in a lease, then you don't get that decrease until your lease comes up. So, you know, I'm sure as you're talking to folks out there that are renting, they're probably maybe telling you one of the reasons they want to buy is because their rents keep going up. Have you heard such things from your buyers?
So it comes back to the question, why? Why is one needing housing? And, you know, death, divorce, job relocation are typical answers to that. And once we get to the why, then we decide what's going to be better, renting versus owning. And I did notice a similar trend where, because inventory has been so low the last 2 years, well, more than 2 years, but especially now since we're coming out of the pandemic, we are seeing more people renting because interest rates have gone up. And they figure they're going to be renting for a year, wait for the rates to come down, and then buy. Well, when you couple low inventory with high interest rates, landlords are like, okay, we're going to raise the rents. And this chart accurately shows what we've seen in the real estate industry, which is peaking in the final quarter of calendar year 2022. Typical downturn over the winter, and then we'll see what the first quarter of 2023 brings.
Yeah, also landlord costs went up. So with inflation and the cost of, you know, repairs and updates and new carpet, new paint, all of those things, when, you know, people move out, that's all gone up exponentially. So, you know, inflation quadrupled. So of course, you know, that also causes the price of rents to increase. But yeah, the supply and demand, you just can't get away from the basic economics of economics 101. If anybody's ever taken the class, it just holds true every single time. And when there's low supply and there's high demand, prices go up to compensate for it.
Yep.
These are just some of the things that I had as discussion points for the disadvantages of renting. You know, that you're not building equity, that your rents can increase. There's for people that itemize, there's no tax advantages of renting. So, and there's all sorts of extra fees that my clients tell me about when they're renting. They can be charged extra for parking or an extra parking space, but also, you know, so many people have pets that pets are a big added expense when you're renting. So just some of the things that are disadvantages of renting that folks don't have any control over. And of course, I don't think most renters think about the costs of moving, because renters move more frequently than homeowners.
Yes, they do. And it's interesting, this list, because it seems to accurately, let me see. Yeah, I think you've hit all the bases and covered all the bases when it comes to disadvantages. We understand when people have to rent. You know, again, we mentioned the reasons why before. But knowing that if you don't have to, try not to rent because you are not able to build your wealth. Owning a home has tax advantages, and also you begin building your wealth by building your equity in a home and owning a home. But if you do rent, please know that there are disadvantages, and I like this list a lot.
And
The
I mean, sometimes
biggest
you just don't have the option. Like you might be moving into an area and you don't know the area, so you rent for a year to kind of get
Right.
acclimated, or you have to
Right.
move quickly and you know you don't have time to find a house and you have to go into a rental. But it's just something for people to cogitate, to give them some, maybe some motivation to start saving more so that they can become owners. So this was a nice little actually this is a whole form that I share with buyers when they're, you know, kind of talking about, you know, should they stay renting or should they buy? And this really compares the cost of renting with a 3% annual rental increase. So sometimes you don't get a 3% increase every year, but if you did over 9 years, you go from paying, you know, $3,000 a month, and that's what a comparable rent would be on. Because I looked at a particular house in Prince George's County. It was on Oliver Street. It was a coming soon property, and the comparable rent for that house was $3,000. And that's I think average rent right now is about 2,000, but that would be more for an apartment, maybe a 2-bedroom apartment in our area versus, you know, a single family home. So this, looking at a 9 year, because 9 years, 8, 9 years is about how long people are staying in their housing, you know, when they own. Your rent could go from 3,000 all the way up to maybe 3,800 at the end of 9 years. Whereas if you own that property, purchase that property at 6 3/4, your payment would be $33.86. But if you paid that rent, you would pay over the first 5 years $194,000 in rent, which is shocking. Versus you would have paid down your mortgage by 25, 26,000, depending on which loan you took.
Right, and that rental money of 194 and change is money you won't get back.
Yeah, that's money spent.
Exactly, that's money spent, and it's money out the door. Whereas if you own, however modest your home is, you are using that money to pay down the debt on your home and build up your equity so that you can increase your buying power and your real estate wealth.
And this particular house, they were projecting annual price appreciation of 4% plus the mortgage amount that you paid down over 9 years. And then if you sold that property, you would still net a lot of money Just the price appreciation over the 9 years is 185,000 plus your amortization gain, $48,000. So that is combined like $235,000 of equity built versus $194,000 spent to your landlord.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
numbers are staggering.
Yeah, there's an old saying that when you own a home, you build your own wealth. When you rent, you build the landlord's wealth.
And in mortgage terms, we put it, I always say, you're always paying a mortgage. You're either paying your own or you're paying your landlord's.
Yep.
But when people think about it, in just 60 months, they've paid between 180,000 to 194, depending on how many times your rent increases. That's just over 5 years. That's not over the 9-year stretch. 5 years, almost $200,000 paid to the landlord. And is your landlord even nice to you? They should be sending you like Valentine's Day flowers.
Yeah.
Candy.
The big thing I'll say about that is renters have to make sure that they read through the lease agreement and keep a copy because it's a dynamic document, not a static one. And so they have to make sure that if anything goes wrong, everything goes back to the lease agreement. In the state of Maryland, if it's not in the lease agreement, then it doesn't exist, however verbal or whatever is customary. If it's in the lease agreement, then that's what everyone looks at.
Yes, absolutely. Documentation. Also take pictures and keep those in your file. Actually read your lease, keep that in your file. So when they come back, when you vacate, take your beginning pictures when you move in and take pictures yourself when you move out. And that way you can protect your security deposit to show that you took care of the property and that, because a lot of landlords have that bad habit of, charging the tenant for things that maybe they shouldn't.
Yep.
Because, in my years, I have rented, mostly when I was much younger, but I always kept good documentation so that I knew how I left the property. I knew how I got it. And I've taught my kids to do the same thing. You got to protect yourself a little bit. So, and here's a nice list of things that are advantage of owning a home. And the biggest advantage is wealth building. Every time you make that payment, that principal is like a chunk going into your savings account called equity. And not only do you build equity that way, but your house appreciates regardless of how much mortgage you have on your house, or even if you own your house free or clear. The market is going to still give you appreciation over time. There's some dips in the pricing of the market, but certainly with the housing shortage, we're seeing appreciation. Still, with interest rates having gone up, we're still expecting on average 2 to 5% increase in house values. So that's more money that you're gaining as an owner, and you have to live somewhere. So you might as well start building your own wealth rather than your landlord's wealth. And we realize that people have to prepare for that, but hopefully that will be one of our conversations, is how to get ready and, how to put your finances together so you can become an owner.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Laura. I would add that we want to make sure that anybody who owns a home, make sure that they work closely with their financial planner and their tax advisor. Even home improvements that you make could be tax deductible. That's why you have to have your accountant really work closely with you. I like the one where you said that the satisfaction of home ownership, number 3, raise your family, create memories, home is your castle, home is your shelter. Absolutely spot on, Laura. It's the memories that we carry with us, forever. That's that's probably the greatest advantage of owning a home. So I would concur with you on that one.
Yeah, it's so such a great thing. You just remember, like, I remember, the house that I grew up. My mother, lived in that house for 42 years, and
Yeah.
great memories, great friends still from that time frame, still know them, still stay in touch. So just some fantastic things. Also, ownership builds communities and it makes for safer communities. So the more owners you have in an area, owner occupants that occupy those properties, the safer those communities tend to be. So it's really, multifaceted. What great things that owning a property can do for you.
Mhm. No, this is wonderful information. And for all the viewers out there, there is no um, shame in renting, because again, everybody does it and everybody starts out like that. I did when I started out, and it's just one of those things where, however temporary, just make sure you're covered, but know that the long-term goal is to own your own real estate so that you can build your own equity and you can build your own wealth. And then this way you can disperse it to your family members in the future.
Yeah, and also folks that on your financial planners will definitely concur this. Folks that own real estate have much bigger, more stable income for retirements. Because a
Mhm.
lot of people downsize and then they have sold that, bigger house, and that's money that you can, earn income off of with your financial planner. So my one of the things that I really want like to impress upon people is so many people you can't buy, especially if you're a first time home buyer or maybe the second time you bought a home, maybe you can't buy everything that you want because financially you can't afford it. We have kind of, what is that, champagne taste and beer budgets. Um, and I love
Yeah.
both champagne and beer, both fantastic, especially, long line of beer drinkers here. So, but start where you are, start where you can afford to buy and get the most that you can get for your money that you can afford. But you're not stuck in your house forever. Because I know for a fact that Michael would be delighted, you know, help you buy your first home, 3 to 5 years, maybe 6 to 8 years, you sell, and then you move up into the house that has, more of the amenities or more of the size, more square footage or more land or more of everything. So, but you can't finish, any journey that you never start. So I hear so many people going, I'm not going to buy because I can't get everything I want. Well, in life, we don't usually get everything we want because we have a long list of wants, but just start, get as much as you can for what you can afford, enjoy it, make it your own, update it, keep it clean, all those good things. And then you're going to be able to take that next step and, work towards that, you know, fulfilling, more of your bigger dream, but get started. You got to get started where you can afford to.
Well, and one of the things that many of my clients have been able to do is they first rent, then they own something small,
Mm-hmm.
and then in a couple years, what they do is they buy a home that's more conducive for their needs at that time, but they keep the smaller place, be it a townhouse or something, and then they rent it out to somebody who needs it. And
Right.
you can build wealth that way too. You can use the rental as an income stream for your own personal wealth as you're owning a home and being a landlord on another property.
Yeah, that's fantastic. See, now you have a passive income stream. So you have multiple streams of income. That's absolutely the way to go. So, and there's things to learn when you take that step to be a landlord, and that would be another great conversation for us to have in the future. So, thank you for bringing that up. Brought up something else that definitely people are talking about and might be on their, financial bucket list. So, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully anybody wants to get hold of us, you have questions about how you can get started, what you can afford, what areas you want to look at, we are definitely available. I'm Laura. I'm with Nations Lending. I will show you all your options so that you are clear and have great understanding of what you can buy and why you're using the financing that you're going to use to make that happen.
Excellent, Laura. This is a great topic. Thank you for sharing. To our viewers out there, please like, subscribe, and share what you're watching here on our YouTube channels, and we'll be happy to help. We'll provide you with more information about this, and you can message us to have a private confidential conversation with either of us so that we can help you on your journey to home ownership. I'm Michael Kurkianik with McIntosh Realtors. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Take care.